CARICOM officials consult with local private sector on the way forward. Grand Fork Community Water Project underway, and ICT and Education Symposium commenced this week. Hello and welcome to another edition of National Focus. I'm Pearl Fontaine.
And I'm Tarnia Green. Stay with us for the details of the headline stories and more right after the break.
Hey, I had a good time in town last week with a pretty girl, man.
Hey, carry me next time when you're going now.
When we get paid Friday, we gonna go.
Careful, they might catch AIDS.
AIDS? Them girl pretty. Them girl can't get AIDS, man.
I think it's only ugly women have AIDS. Anybody could get it. If you get sick, what you gonna tell your wife?
Hey, your wife, come in.
Hey, change the topic. Change the topic.
Your family depends on you. Don't take home AIDS.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Welcome back. Efforts by government to advance students' learning through the use of information communication technology, or ICT, has moved another step further with the hosting of a national e-learning symposium this week. The symposium, organized by the Ministries of Education and Information and Telecommunications, brought together a number of educators and other stakeholders in the ICT sector at the Fortune Hotel for the official opening of the week-long symposium. E-Education Advisor Dominican-born Dr. Laurel John Baptist, who resides in Canada, is in Dominica sharing her experience and expertise with government in taking the ICT sector forward. Dr. John Baptist is the co-founder and chief operating officer of Scholar Labs Technologies, a company offering superior online learning solutions. Throughout her one-week stay, Dr. John Baptist will deliver lectures and work with schools with the hope of imparting new knowledge and skills on how classroom learning can be enhanced through the use of ICT.
I am not saying replace classroom education with online education. However, I advocate for a blended approach, using online education to supplement and enhance classroom instruction. There are times when complete online solutions are also needed. At Scholar Lab, we are not only building online learning products and solutions, we are changing how people learn. We are changing the world.
Minister for Information, Telecommunications and Constituency Empowerment, Honorable Ambrose George, welcomed Dr. Laurel John Baptist to Dominica. In addressing the start of the symposium, Minister George said government has recognized that ICT must be used as the enabling tool to ensure educational success. He noted that this week's symposium is a step in that direction.
Now is the time for us to embrace every opportunity to educate the children of this nation, to work collaboratively with government and the private sector to help foster the continued educational development of our people in every area of endeavor by maximizing the benefits to be derived from liberalization of the telecommunications sector.
Education Minister Honorable Peter St. Jean noted that his ministry has recognized that teachers must understand and explore new and innovative ways to incorporate aspects of e-learning into classroom activities. He says the ministry is cognizant of the fact that both the context in which schools operate and the purpose of education are undergoing drastic changes because of rapid technological advances, and that Dominica must move with the times.
Our focus here in Dominica, therefore, is on getting students to develop skills for life in an increasingly technological world. In an environment that is characterized by technological innovation and computerized responses to situations in the workplace and in the wider society, it is imperative that all citizens possess a working knowledge of the available technology. We believe that if Dominica is to become globally competitive, all students, and I repeat, all students must have the opportunity to access these important skills and knowledge within the classroom environment.
Meantime, Dominica's Director of Telecommunications, Bennett Thomas, and lead organizer of this week's symposium, said the role of e-education in the effective delivery of school curriculum is fundamental to student learning.
The continued emergence of new and innovative technologies in ICT are critical development of our students. ICT is simply a tool to be used to advance the education of our people. And it's important, therefore, that as educators and policymakers, that we take a vigorous role in ensuring that our students are in line with the modern technologies of our time.
Dr. Laurel John Baptist during the week will be engaged in a number of educational sessions with students as well as educators and administrators. She will meet with educators and administrators at the Public Service Training Center on Tuesday morning from 9 a.m. and on Wednesday, September 25th, she will deliver a lecture at the UE School of Continuing Studies on Emsall Road from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tarnia, this is fascinating news for us. We're actually moving forward. As the Minister for Technology stated, this is a step further in this realm. So tell us about what you learned today, because you were at the symposium.
Yes, as you rightly said, it's an exciting era for us in Dominica at this time, because we see the Ministry of Education and that of the Ministry of Information and Telecommunications merging together to put on this week-long symposium. ICT, Information Communication Technologies, has become something important. It's become something necessary. Right. And the government of Dominica has recognized that, and we will recall that in recent times, the government, the Ministry of Education, has put a lot of emphasis on educating every child, getting the school system to understand that ICT is no longer something that we have a choice. It's now mandatory. And, the Ministry of Education is advocating that the use of ICT in schools is an absolute necessity, because as we look at, the international community, without ICT knowledge, we can't move forward. ICT has become the everyday part of our lives.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. Just sorry to cut you off, but something I've learned, in the 20th century, a highly educated person was viewed as someone who could read and write within the four walls of a school or a classroom. In the 21st century, an educated person is someone who can read, write, and who is also computer literate. And so ICT has, blown everything out of the water with this global community being online. I mean, a mother who wants to get her master's degree before might say, you know what, I can't do it because of my children, but now she can study within her home online. So ICT is a great thing.
Yes, and with the presence of Dr. Laurel John Baptist here this week, she'll be meeting with administrators, she'll be meeting with educators, she'll be meeting with students at different schools across the country, really trying to impart her experience and knowledge to them and impressing upon them the need for them to make sure that ICT is a part of their lives.
You're absolutely right. Also, you know, to emphasize what you said about government, the fact that, you know, years ago, maybe people in the rural communities wouldn't ever have access to this kind of, you know, information, this global community, to even be a part of it. And so now they are. Government has extended that all the way through the rural communities. I mean, with government stating that, you know, the Prime Minister wants every child a university graduate in every household, or a computer in every single household. That's phenomenal for us.
Definitely. In more news, residents of Grand Forks will soon have an improved water supply system. This was confirmed last week by Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Water Resource Management and Parliamentary Representative for the Grand Forks constituency, Honourable Ivor Stevenson.
We know how well that BNTF and the WASCO and the contractors have worked in the construction of an intake, a 60,000 gallon storage tank, and the necessary supply lines from the intake to the storage tank. So for sure, PS, I think I needed to say something about the Grand Forks supply, something that is surely dear to my heart.
The government of Dominica has invested over $75 million in the provision of pipe-borne water to Dominican households. This was confirmed last week by Acting Prime Minister Honourable Ambrose George as he addressed residents of Shawford at the official commissioning of the first ever Shawford water supply.
Some of these projects include the West Coast Water Supply Project, the Benz Water Supply, the Monbros Storage Tank, the Concord Water Supply, the Delices Water Supply, the Warner Water Supply, the Grand Forks Water Supply, the Campbell Water Supply, the Petit Savan Water Supply, and the Penville Water Supply. This list, although not exhaustive, tells us that we continue to touch the lives of Dominicans everywhere.
And an international group of development partners will gather in Dominica to discuss further financing for the small geothermal power plant. That's according to Honourable Ambrose George, who spoke at the recently held DLP Delegates Conference. To date, government has spent $35 million to develop the geothermal resource in the Roseau Valley.
Towards the end of the month, an international group of our development partners, including Agence Française Development, the World Bank, European Union, China, Venezuela, and Japan, among others, will gather in Roseau to discuss the financing of the small power plant to supply electricity to the local grid. Approaches to financing the export power plant to supply electricity to Martinique and Guadeloupe will also be examined. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I can say with confidence that much lower electricity rates is no longer a dream, but is shaping to become a reality.
The deputy leader highlighted many other projects that have transformed the lives of many Dominicans.
So I did not touch on the Windsor Park Stadium, the new grammar school, the Rosalie Pickett-Souffre Road, the Yes We Care program, or what is called the Red Clinic, to name a few, the Roseau Valley Road project, the Point Michel Road, the Souffre Scottsdale Road and City Fence Works, the planned construction of the Princess Margaret Hospital to include an MRI, a mammogram, a CT scan, an endoscope at the cost of some $4 million. The housing apartments at Bapper State and Emsor. The housing revolution, which has brought much relief to our Dominican people. The Windsor Park Green Road, the Bapper State Center Road, the water projects all over the country, the Journal Edison water supply project, the 500,000 gallon storage tank, water storage tank at Montrose. As I said, brothers and sisters, the list can go on and on.
George noted that all of these projects have had a significant impact on the lives of all Dominicans. He says history can speak for itself.
Labor's historical record is that of providing shoes for those who went barefooted, providing a livable wage to those whose labor was exploited, providing a roof over the heads of those who were homeless, providing land to those who were squatters, providing education to those who thought they had no choice, no chance of making it in the world, and providing care to the elderly and abandoned.
At the recently held Dominica Labour Party Delegates Conference, Sonia Williams, head of the Labour Women's Organization, says gone are the days when a woman's place was in the home. She summoned women to take their rightful place in society, especially in politics.
The United Nations have made a clarion call for more women in Parliament, and I think we have some very capable women who have the ability to answer that call. Our place is not only to organize fundraisers, jump up and wave the flags, follow the train, and shout to the loudest at meeting. But we must get involved in the serious business of the party. We have been empowered, we have been taught, and we have learned well. Let us now put our words into action. We must participate in decision-making and policy formulation in our country. We must inform and educate ourselves on what is happening in the world around us, nationally, regionally, and internationally.
Williams' speech also sought to bring consciousness to the issue of women hating women. She says it's time this matter became extinct.
We also need to be supportive of one another as women. It is always said that women are women's own worst enemy. But we can rise above that. We all have different personalities, but when one of our labor women hurts, we all should hurt as well. We should be one another's keeper and be there when times are rough. That, I'm sure, is the principle of the Dominica Labour Party.
In other news, members of the private sector, labor and cooperatives met with CARICOM officials on Monday to hold consultations in order to address the issues facing the Caribbean community. These consultations are part of the reform process, which is needed to move the community from its current state where the efficacy of regional integration is frequently questioned. Reform is also necessary as the impact and value of CARICOM is not readily apparent. Myrna Bernard, officer in charge of human and social development to the CARICOM Secretariat, gave an overview of the purpose of the consultation.
There was a review of institutions, regional institutions, that is a continuing process, but there was a review of the CARICOM Secretariat, and in that review, the suggestion was made that you can't reform the Secretariat without looking at reform of the entire community and its arrangements. And so our heads of government mandated that in addition to the reform of the Secretariat, or alongside that process, that we have a strategic plan developed for the community. That reform is going to allow us, or is intended to allow us, to recalibrate several areas of operation of our regional arrangements, including the governance of the community, and within that, areas of focus for attention. We recognize that we've probably been trying to do too many things and to be all things to all people. And so the reform, you'll find that we're looking for areas of priority. In addition to your experiences, we're looking for recommendations from you in terms of what really should we be focusing on in the next 5 years or so.
The strategic plan is a 5-year plan which will be shaped by the ideas and recommendations from various sectors of the society in all CARICOM countries and its associates. The consultation will focus on 4 key areas: vision, agreement on priorities, agreement on requirements, and agreement on measurement of results. Dominica is the 7th member state in which consultations will be held. Sessions have been held in Barbados, Guyana, Antigua, Montserrat, Grenada, and St. Lucia. The process in Dominica will be a 2-day process. On Monday, consultations will be held with the private sector, labor cooperatives, and the public sector. On Tuesday, the government and opposition, as well as civil society, churches, the youth, and NGOs will meet for discussions. The process is spearheaded in Dominica by Ambassador Felix Gregoire. We'll bring you more from these CARICOM consultations in a subsequent newscast. And that's the English segment of the news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non moins c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, ministre information qu'a branché et puis éducation organisé symposium Haïti en Dominique semaine là. On cérémonie chaîne bon matin là pour ouvrir symposium là. Officier gouvernement en parmi ministère information Honorable Ambrose George et ministère éducation Honorable Peter Saint-Jean adressé cérémonie là pour te ouvrir. Selon ministère information Honorable Ambrose George, ça fait Haïti bien important pour le développement à présent.
Oui, c'est en collaboration avec le ministre Télécoms, avec le ministre Éducation. Nous venons ensemble et nous inviter Dr. Laurel John Baptiste, Hort Canada. Ici en Dominicien et ici en PhD en technologie. Avec il décidé pour venir Dominique pour travailler avec nous, pour dire nous en dit qu'on ça qu'a fait avec ça e-learning, education learning online. Avec comment nous a servi technologie, comment nous a servi technologie pour étudier à l'école là, à la collège là, State College, à UI, avec pour moi des monde Dominique. Qui passe à aller l'autre pays pour attendre l'université. Mais c'est à case, avec aller à ce ligne, à servir Internet pour study, pour faire plus, mais plusieurs technologies. Où ça fait history, où ça fait mathematics, où ça fait science, où ça fait n'importe bagaille où vous voulez étudier, où ça fait à souligner qu'à servir Internet avec à servir ICT technology.
En la nouvelle, le gouvernement Dominique établit une task force pour travailler avec la conseiller intégration régionale. Task force là aussi une responsabilité de visiter l'école, apprendre négion contre les affaires intégration. Parole celle-là sur le ambassadeur Dominique pour CARICOM, His Excellency Felix Gregoire, quand une mission CARICOM qui a visité Dominique semaine là.
Le gouvernement établit une task force pour regional integration. La task force c'est task force qui a fait préparation pour mission là, pour CARICOM mission là, semaine prochaine. La même task force qui a travaillé sur pour aller à l'école, pour parler aux enfants à l'école, contre regional integration, OECS integration, CARICOM integration, plus OECS integration plus CARICOM integration equals regional integration. C'est pas ça nous qui parler ba yo et nous te qui vle ces jeunes monde là commencer parler catcher le code unity en Caribbean là. Ça sent bagaille nous ka parler comme ça autant déjà tant monde a parlé comme ça mais nous pour arriver là nous te qui vle c'est ça qui fait à présent nous te qui vle faire ça nous a fait toute bête nous a fait pour arriver là nous voulons arriver avec nous te qui vle ces jeunes monde là commencer catcher comme ça intégration là so nous avons lancé l'école là nous avons commencé à son nord avec nous qui travaille avec nous dans d'autres districts.
Dans la nouvelle, le gouvernement Dominique a gardé devant Wanger Network chez mes pays là. Parole celle-là sortie du ministre Public Works, Honorable Ribbon Blackmore. Honorable Blackmore fait parole qui, par finissement octobre l'année salam, gouvernement qui a réalisé 61% chimie Dominique avancé. Ministre Blackmore aussi fait parole qui ont le projet chimie qui a tapé maintenance et dit on facilite grant, l'argent nous parle pays hors European Union, qui assiste le gouvernement à réparer plusieurs chimie tout en pays là qui besoin d'attention. Chimie est le pays là qui aussi recevoir attention selon ministre Blackmore. Finalement, membre parlement pour Kalinago, Honorable Ashton Grano, qui a gardé devant pour l'association Craft pour Riverdale Kalinago. Honorable Grano, qui a cru que ça même qui est tapé en la place pour ces produits là.
Nous voulons voir comment nous savons taper en market pour craft nous. Tout le monde nous l'a fait pain avec chapeau et comme ça. Et nous dépendre à ce monde qui vient qui a passé pour gagner. Mais nous devons faire nous taper en market pour ça. Pour nous taper market ça besoin nous devons bagages nous créer un trademark pour nous ça vendre authentic Kalinago craft. So ça sont bagages nous travailler sur à présent. Nous marquer ouais fait et pas que fini avant de sortir en office mais nous commencer et ça qui va venir après que fini avec help et puis Kalinago council là. So ça c'est des bagages nous faire nous c'est même bagages nous commence continuer nous aider des enfants qui aller à l'école secondaire, l'école primary, nous voyer mon study toutes ces bagages ça c'est bagages qui va continuer et vers temps nous continuer yo.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est toute pour nouvelle en créole pour présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, your tip of the day.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans, and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Today's trip is about boosting your self-confidence. Every person is a creative being. Rediscovering your creativity is a good way to improve your self-confidence.
When you create something, you not only feel good about yourself, but you sometimes get to know yourself as well as your hidden capabilities.
And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website at news.gov.dm.
Friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Tarnia Green.
And I'm Pearl Fontaine. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.